2016, I have been hounding my clients with drainage pathways. And so the lymphatic system is so important. And honestly, it wasn't until my, like I said, skin irritation, because there's nothing worse than people seeing, you know, a dysfunction on you, right? We don't want to have like rashes and everything on our skin. It doesn't look good. We don't feel comfortable. We don't feel confident. So that's what it took for me to dive deeper into lymph. And so here we are today. And, you know, with that being said, lymph is part of our whole drainage pathway. So if we have conditions or underfunctioning livers or guts or kidneys, it is absolutely going to put pressure on our lymphatics. Our whole system has to work together. And my whole goal is to teach you guys and to teach, you know, other people, even practitioners, it would be fantastic, how important the drainage pathways are and how they go together. So I wanted to share that with you guys because you guys are all asking me like, where's your education? Like I said, probably about 10,000 hours of continuing education over the last just 10 years. You know, I read research for fun. I'm kind of dorky that way because for me, I want to understand, I want to know, and there's more research coming out every single day. And I'm going to share some new research with you guys tomorrow when we talk about the head and neck. So like I said, we're breaking it up into bite-sized chunks for you guys because I want you to be able to, the rest of today, practice what I'm teaching you because it's going to build on one another. So the more that you understand, the more that you practice what I'm teaching you today, the easier it's going to be for you guys to learn the additional sequences. And then come Friday, we're going to play kind of like a little game where I'm going to give you guys a symptom and you guys are going to tell me the sequence, like how would you open up your lymphatic system to support that symptom or to support, you know, a certain body part or whatever it may be. And I'm going to ask you guys to give me, you know, because I picked some of the most specific or most common symptoms that people come to me for, but I want you guys to also give me some of that information. So later in the week, you know, the Facebook group, I'll put a post in there like, you know, here's let me know what symptoms you guys want, and I'll kind of do like a poll. And then for my VIP members, I'm going to have you guys just message, and I'll have John actually, or Dr. Niles, since you're on here, you can help me with this. Figure out the best way for the VIP members. Is it in the portal or is it to email? As we go through and as I ask questions. Okay, so let's get started. I really want to dive into this, guys, and give you guys the physiology behind lymphatic drainage. So this is what we are going to be covering today. And when I said that we have a lot of information to cover, I wasn't kidding. Like today is going to be very packed with a little more physiology, a little more understanding of the lymphatic system so that you can really dive in and understand it. So today's challenge, we're going to be covering what is the lymphatic system, what is lymphatic fluid, lymph vessels versus lymph nodes, how to open up and find your termini, and then symptoms that can be associated with lymphatic drainage. Now, what I have is I have Dr. Niles helping me with questions, and I'm going to answer them. I'm going to answer the questions at the end unless he thinks that it's a good idea for me to answer it in the middle. Okay, so I'm not ignoring you guys. I just have a lot of information that I want to get through, and I want to be mindful of your time and my time. So let's dive in. So what is the lymphatic system? The lymphatic system has three main parts. It's waste removal, it helps with the immune system function, and it helps absorption of fatty acids. Those are the three big things that the lymphatic system does. Now, when we have a problem with our lymph system, we're not absorbing fatty acids from digestion. We actually have a lot of lymph in our gut. So if we're not absorbing the fatty acids like the triglycerides and the cholesterols, we don't have building blocks for sex hormones. We don't have the capability of healing. We don't have ultimately like the messengers to help proteins do their job. Then if our lymph system isn't flowing, it means that it's not going through lymph nodes, which means it's not able to produce lymphocytes, which is part of our immune system. It's what helps protect us against pathogens. And pathogens can be anything. It can be bacteria, viral, mold, Lyme, like the spectrum of things, not to mention parasites. So if our lymph system isn't moving, our immune system isn't functioning, which means we're more likely to get sick. The other thing that can happen is we can end up with excess waste fluid. And this is going to make more sense in just a second. But our lymph system is ultimately the mirror to our circulatory system. So blood brings nutrients to our cells, and our cells utilize the nutrients. It utilizes oxygen, it utilizes vitamins and minerals in order to create cellular energy. And it's that energy that is used for everything, whether it's creating hormones or healing or thinking or moving. It's really, really important. So when our lymph system isn't working, we end up with a buildup of the waste products from our cells. That is what lymphatic fluid is. So what makes up the lymphatic system? So it's lymph nodes, lymph vessels, tonsils and adenoids, and we're going to be touching on tonsils and adenoids tomorrow. A lot of you guys have questions about it. Spleen, thymus, bone marrow, and mucous membranes, meaning like the insides of our nose, our lungs, our gut, anywhere that we have a mucus lining, that is actually part of the lymphatic system. So we need to make sure our lymph system is functioning and flowing properly, so that ultimately our body is protected and we're ultimately functioning the way that we're supposed to. Okay, so when I said it's the mirror to our circulatory system, what I meant is blood brings nutrients to the cells, and then the cells release waste products. It releases like plasma-rich proteins. It releases plasma. It releases lymph fluid, and it becomes lymph fluid once it gets into the lymphatic system. So the purpose of the lymph system is to actually remove the cellular waste, to remove the excess fluid from our cells from cellular metabolism. And so if our lymph system isn't working, what can happen is we can have a buildup of fluid. And that fluid contains waste products. It can contain toxins. It can contain infectious material like bacteria and viruses and all that kind of stuff. So the longer lymphatic fluid sits in our cells, the more likely it is for our cells to become damaged. Now, part of the problem with the lymphatic system, though, is it does not have a pump. Our blood has a pump, right? Our heart, but our lymph does not. Our lymph only moves if we move it. It moves when we contract our muscles. It moves with breathing. It moves when we actually physically move it. And so the lymphatic system actually becomes quite congested. And this is why I believe in today's day and age, more than ever, that we need to focus on the lymph system because of the lifestyles we live. And then the other thing, the reason that lymphatic, self-manual massage works so well, or if you go to a trained therapist, is because 70% of our lymphatic vessels is just below the skin. So that means that it does not matter what size of body you have. I get this question all the time. What happens if I have a little bit more, body weight to me than you do? Do I have to push harder? The answer is no, because our lymph vessels is just below the skin. So everything we do is very, very gentle. And if we're not gentle, actually what will happen is we won't see the same results. So it's not even like a Swedish massage, guys. Like, we're not going deep. And I'm the type of person, if I'm going for a massage, like, I want you to get in there and I want you to move those muscles and work out those knots. But that's not how it works for lymph. Lymph is very gentle. So what we're going to be talking about is lymph nodes. And the reason we're going to be talking about lymph nodes before we even go into like dry brushing, or before I even talk about like even manual massage, you got to understand lymph nodes. And here's why. Lymph nodes are these little like pockets between lymph vessels. And we have anywhere between 600 to 1,000 lymph nodes in our body. 30% are found in our head and neck. 50% roughly are found in our gut, and the rest are scattered throughout. Most of our lymph nodes are found in like areas that we bend. So wrist, elbow, shoulder, groin, so our trunk, neck, head, ankles, knees. That's where most of our lymph nodes are located. And the problem is, a lot of times lymph nodes become congested. And so when they're congested, it means lymphatic fluid can't flow through. So I like to think of lymph nodes as one of two ways: either a door that's open or closed. And if the door is closed, we can't walk through it, right? So what would mean, like, what would indicate that a lymph node is closed would be like a hard enlarged nodule. So if you feel hard enlarged nodules, it's likely, and you're not currently sick, it's likely that your lymph nodes are congested, which means fluid can't come through. So, we got to make sure that we open up those lymph nodes. The other way that I like to think about it is, think of like your shower drain. The lymph node is like the drain, okay? That's what filters through, that's what like allows the fluid to drain out. Well, the lymph node does the same thing. It allows the lymph fluid to drain through. And the lymph nodes, what they're doing is they're filtering. They're filtering out for toxins, and they're filtering out for infections. They're filtering the lymph system so that ultimately when you return the lymph to the circulatory system, that it's not full of like pathogens or toxins that are just going to be recirculated. So what can happen though is, if our drains become congested, if they become clogged, then like the water from the shower doesn't drain and it sits there, right? And the more water that we have coming through, because our heart is going to continuously pump fluid to our cells, the more fluid we have built up, the more toxic waste we have built up. And so the lymph nodes are so stinking important, which is why we're starting there. And here's the other thing. I find that when people understand how to open up their lymph nodes, they're able to see much better results with their lymphatic drainage. So I'm really excited to like share this with you guys, because I believe that this is going to completely change your guys' lymphatic drainage. So with that being said, let's talk about, where does it drain? Because this is a big question. Okay, where does it drain? Where does it go? All of our lymph fluid, all of it, from our toes to our fingers to our head, to our breast to our abdomen, it all drains in just above our clavicles. The right side, so this is my right side, the right side is going to drain into the right subclavian vein, which is going to return the fluid back to the heart. The left side is going to drain, and I didn't mention, the right side drains the head, neck, right arm, right chest, and back. The left side drains everything else. So left arm, abdomen, legs, like the left side drains a whole lot more. And so the left side will drain into the left subclavian vein. All of the lymphatic fluid from our lower abdomen, so from our like belly button down essentially, is going to drain into the thoracic duct. Now, you guys don't need to remember any of this. It's just giving you a little bit of physiology so that if this is something you want to read into a little bit more, you'll have a better understanding. So the reason this is important is, sometimes when we're looking at our termini, which we'll get to in just a sec, because that's going to be really what we dive into today, is we might feel a difference in our termini. It might be swollen, it might be hard, it might be tender, more on one side than the other, which can be indicative of where we have stagnation. Where is our body not draining properly? Where should we spend a little bit more time outside of typical symptoms? So it's really, really important to make sure that if all of our fluid drains over here by our clavicles, that this is open, that this is moving. If this is congested, it doesn't matter what you do anywhere else in your body. It's not going to move. It's not going to drain, which is why I believe so many people don't actually see results. Not to mention, the order in which we do things is very important. If we don't open things and move things in the right order, all we're going to be doing is causing more congestion. I'll explain that in just a sec. So, how do we find and locate our termini? So our termini is where all of our lymphatic fluid drains. It's where all of it drains. And so we've got to make sure that we can find it and open it up. Now, when I say open it up, we're going to talk about 3 different ways that we can do it. But I wore this shirt specifically because you guys should be able to see it. So I'm going to go through these slides, and then I'm going to show you on me with my trusty blue eyeliner. I'm going to draw on me so that you guys can see it yourself. And I actually recommend that you do the same. If you guys have an eyeliner that you can draw once you locate it, it's going to make it easier. It's more visual, and it's ultimately creating a habit because you'll feel the difference. So where it's located. So I want you guys to find your clavicle, and ultimately I would really love it if you guys did this along with me, because this is how you're going to learn. Like hands-on is the best way to learn. Okay, so I'm just going to tie my hair back. So find your clavicles, okay, guys? And what we're going to be doing is we're going to find our clavicles. So my clavicles are right here. And then the trapezius is the muscle right above our shoulders. So it's the muscle that comes down our neck above our shoulders. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that you guys can see it a little bit better. And then the SCM muscle is the muscle that comes from just behind our ear down to our clavicle. This is going to make more sense in just a sec. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so clavicles. So it's going to be above my clavicles. Traps, the muscle right here. And some people have bigger traps than others. That doesn't change what we're going to do. So traps is right here. And then SCM, you guys can see my SCM. It pops out nice and well. So this SCM, you can see it has two heads. So here's the lateral and here's the medial head. It's going to be right between there. Okay. So that's where it is on both sides. Now, don't worry, watch. I'm going to show you guys something. Okay. You can see here, trapezius, SCM, clavicle. It's right in the middle. It's going to be a soft spot. For some of you, you're going to be able to see an indent. Like for me, and I'll show you guys how to do it. It's that indent. It's this spot right in here. This is the drainage spot. And it's broad, okay, guys? Meaning you don't have to be like there's not like a little itty bitty pea-sized spot. You just got to be in the vicinity of it, okay? But it's right in here, okay? So again, right side, left side, just so you guys know. I'm using the camera on my computer. So just so that you guys know. So right side has the big old Oura ring. Left side has my little my wedding band. Okay, so as we go through this, watch. X marks the spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys simple ways outside of looking at the trapezius clavicle SCM. Remember, it's on the inside, like on the outside, I guess it would be outside of the SCM muscle. So I hope that this is helping, because as we go through, watch.